Well, good evening and welcome to Lions University for 2016. This is the first webinar we're conducting at the start of the year, so it's nice to be back online and to get together with Lions all across North America to talk about some of the interesting programs and sessions that we have this coming year. Tonight, we welcome you to Knowing the International Priorities, Programs, and Services, the Lions University course brought to you by the USA-Canada Lions Leadership Forum. My name is Lion Budwall, and I would like to welcome you to this evening's webinar and remind you that we are recording the session for those who cannot participate live or for anyone wishing to review the material again at a later time. Once we begin, if you have a question or a response to a question that's being raised by the presenter, you can handle this by either typing your name or your question in the questions pane in the panel along the right side of your screen, or by raising your hand or clicking on your hand so you can be unmuted, and that way we'll be giving you the opportunity to share verbally with the entire group. Knowing the International Priorities, Programs, and Services is course number 222, which is an elective course for the Lions University Master's Program, and it's designed to help Lions lead at the district level. The Master's Program involves the completion of 10 required courses and at least 5 elective courses, and you can see those on your screen now. We have the 10 required on the left side, and the 15 I think we have listed here on the right side for the elective courses. This next slide shows the Lions University website, lionsuniversity.org, and this slide shows a page actually in the bachelor's program listing the courses offered in that level. Now, the master's program page would have similar information, but would include the courses, obviously, in the master's program. If you were to click on any of those courses listed on the page, you would then be taken directly to that particular course page, giving you all the details for that course, along with a link to register for the course, and any other link to course handouts and the course quiz. We even have a calendar page you can click on to see what courses are scheduled in the weeks and months ahead. This slide shows what a course page typically looks like. It lists the course name and number, gives a description of the course, shows who the faculty member is, and gives you links to register for the class and any course materials. If you haven't already done so, you will need to create a separate username and password to get in to register for the course and have access to the quiz. And after participating in the webinar or watching the video of the webinar, you can then click on the Mark as Completed tab at the bottom of the page, and you will then be allowed to take the quiz. And when you complete the quiz and submit your answers, you'll be given the results instantly. You can then click on the My Account tab near the top of the page and see a first-hand view of the courses you've completed in both the bachelor's and the master's level programs. And now this year we've begun work on the doctoral program, and I believe there's been a couple of courses offered at the most recent forum in Grand Rapids, and there'll be some upcoming courses being listed very shortly. Our faculty member this evening is Lion Tom Gordon. Lion Tom is a past council chairperson from MDA, Ontario, Canada. He has been an active member of the District A16 cabinet since 1985. He's been a faculty member for the master's program previously, having presented a course for us last fall entitled Meeting Management. Lion Tom has also been a presenter on the district and multiple district level, as well as at the USA-Canada Lions Leadership Forum. He comes to Lions University as a well-qualified instructor with a wealth of knowledge, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome him tonight. So, Lion Tom, welcome, and I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Bud, and members of the Lions family that are online tonight. We have a very large topic to look at with a lot of small little pieces to it. And it turns out that it's pretty timely right now, too. So let's get going right away, okay, because we don't have much time to waste here. First of all, there's a common base to all of our programs. And when we get to that, you'll see that it comes from our objectives here. Looking at our objectives, the common base really has to do with our mission, our vision, our purposes, and our ethics. And everything that we do as Lions should be based on those. And then we got a short list of the international priorities, and then we have a very long list of the programs that are associated with those priorities. And as we know, over time, priorities change and they're modified a little bit as we go. So I've tried to provide some dates. So if you were looking at this course ahead of time, there are some handouts, and one of those has the international priorities and services with dates beside them to show you when the latest version was implemented. And there may have been previous versions to that. We're going to take a look at those programs very, very quickly because there's just way too many to spend a lot of time and in-depth time on. And then we'll discuss some ways and means of trying to keep up to date because things change, they move on. So let's start with our mission and our vision. I'm always surprised at how we go through this thing. When I first started looking at this, I went to a session at the forum, and they had a forum on international priorities and services, and they're actually doing what they call a systematic envisioning of what Lions should look like after the year 2017, after our centennial. And they've hired a group called the Grant Thornton Company, and that group is undertaking the task of looking at our priorities and the programs on a very large scale. Their task has a name. Okay, so if you're looking it up on the LCI site, it's Programs and Service Initiatives Assessment. And you're seeing that slide right now. And here's their purposes. What they want to do is, as a group, they want to get a better understanding of what all those programs are and how we value them as individual Lions. They want to look at what the needs and the motivators are of all of the people that we serve. And they want to assess how we're currently serving those needs. So needs need to meet programs, or programs need to meet needs. You know, that those two things have to come together. And then they want to identify improvement opportunities to position our organization to best serve us after the year 2017. They're looking at implementing this at our centennial celebration. So they're looking to build that up to them. According to Lillian Tan of the Grant Thornton Company, she tells me that since the leadership forum back in September, their company has done some focus groups and some webinars and some questionnaires in all of the constitutional areas and all of our official languages. They have also done interviews with global opinion leaders from other NGOs and nonprofits to get their viewpoints on humanitarian issues and trends. In addition, Lillian tells me that towards the end of this month, they will be launching a full global survey to all Lions and Leos across the world. Every Lion and Leo with a registered email address will get a copy of the survey. She also encourages us to spread those out to those people in your Lions districts, and I know I have some in mine, who don't have email addresses too, and get them to respond with you as well. Basically, it's our opportunity to help shape the future of all Lions clubs. And LCI is going to, again, like I said before, they're going to introduce these changes to our list of priorities in Chicago in 2017. So it's that old saying, you know, the only thing that stays the same is that things will change in the future. So let's take a look at where we stand now by quickly examining our basics. First, our mission statement. When I was doing corporate training, I worked for a lot of companies, both large and small, to develop their mission statement. The purpose being that everything an organization does should reflect that mission statement, and the mission statement will stay pretty much the same over time. This is what we do. I'm always amazed when I ask Lions what our mission statement is, and they don't seem to know. My thinking is that we should probably all know this. So take a guess before the slide. Okay, let's look at the slide now and see how well you did. Okay, now you don't have to get the words perfect to know this, but basically what we're trying to do is to give Lions everything that they will need to meet the needs in their communities. And that's sort of our goal with this thing. Secondly, I guess our vision statement, and these are really lofty targets that we might never achieve. There's something to look at in the future, but this is where we're aiming, you know, and we're trying to get there in some indeterminate time in the future. And this is why we do what we do. We want to be that global leader. And right now, I think we are. I think we can say we have the largest and most active service organization in the world. Lions don't seem to know this one either. And maybe that's the thing, if we're a district leader, that we should be reviewing with our Lions to make sure they know. Our purposes, and these haven't changed very much, although along the way some of the wording had to change because it was pretty archaic, you know, as the old wording. If you look back to 1917, it needed to change so that we could actually understand what the heck they were saying. And so some of these have changed now. In fact, in the beginning, these were called our objects, and now they're called our purposes. And the very first one, of course, is to charter and supervise those clubs called Lions Clubs. And I know we're pushed these days to start new clubs. And then we're looking at, especially at the district level, we're looking at organizing activities and the administration things. And I know over the past few years we've incorporated something called the Club Health Assessment that goes through all the district governors, and they're then able to check out how well clubs are administering their businesses. And then we want that understanding among peoples of the world, and as we look at the things that are happening in the world right now, that looks to be even more important as we go along. Okay, and if we move on a little bit, we'll see that there's things that maybe, you know, everybody should be doing, but that we're going to spend a particular time doing in groups in our districts and in our clubs to promote those principles of good government, good citizenship. And of course, good government would mean different things in different countries, because that looks a little bit different in different countries. And then especially around the cultural area here and the social and moral welfare of our community, well, that might look different than what it looks like in Egypt. You know, it might not be the same here. To unite clubs in the bonds of friendship and good fellowship and mutual understanding. And I know most of the Lions, at least in my club, come there because we have a good time with each other and we like each other. Okay, and moving on. This open discussion thing is one that sometimes we get mixed up with, I'm finding. It says no partisan politics and sectarian religion, although I know we sometimes have speakers in that are politicians and sometimes speakers that, you know, represent religious communities, so that we can get some information on those things, but mostly for information. It's not to debate the merits of one political party or one religion over the other. And then the last one here is to encourage the service-minded people to serve their community. And we try not to do this without financial gain for ourselves, and that's notwithstanding all the fundraisers that we do, I'm sure. Okay, and then moving on. We have a code of ethics, and not all organizations have something that would relate to a code of ethics, but we have a code of ethics, so I think it's somewhat unique for our organization. It's a guideline of how we should behave as Lions. And I know I've used, as a district governor and as a council chair, I've used these to help solve conflicts in my own club, my own district, and even in the multiple district. And really, they're just good rules of thumb for behavior for anybody as we go through. Yeah. Remembering to build up my business is not necessary to tear down another's, and unlike Rotary, we don't have one person from each business in our club. We have maybe 3 or 4 people from the same business, and so we try to be loyal to our clients, but you know, the idea is to be true to ourselves and part of our Lions Club, not necessarily to promote our business over somebody else's business within our club. And this next one, whenever a doubt arises to the right of the ethics of my position, I'm always going to take this to resolve that against myself, that the other person is probably right. And then that's a very magnanimous thing to do, not easy either. Friendship is certainly something for our clubs. We got to have friends in our clubs, otherwise they don't run very well. And if we look at a program Refresh that talked about how they did the deep dive study and how people leave Lions clubs, and it's mostly because of their conflicts with how the club is run and the other members in the club, not with Lions as a whole, but with the other people in the club. True friendship, man. Nothing, you just want to be friends with these folks. You're not trying to get to an end with that. And then, to aid others, of course, that's what our goal is. We want to help our communities and those maybe people that don't have things as well as we have them. Although I find some of the most generous people in the club I work with are people that have some needs of their own. Funny enough how that worked. Okay, we have lots of code of ethics. So let's move on. I have a citizen. I have, everybody has obligations to their country, but certainly you have, a sense of community is small. It could be my street, it just gets larger from there. So I have my community, I have my province. I live in Canada, so you would have a state if you live in the States. And then you have your province, Ontario, the world. We just have, it's a bigger community as we look at that circle moving outwards. Give them my loyalty is not that easy to do all the time, but that's sort of the idea, is to look at what's the best for my community in the end, and to give them all the time that I have and the labor that I have and the money that I have that is free from being unencumbered by other things. To be careful with my criticism and liberal with my praise, and build up and not destroy. And the rule that I was pounded into me as I was learning to be the governor was that if you're going to have a debate with somebody about something you would like them to change, then you do that in private first, but you praise in public. So praise in public and criticize individually. And that's how that goes. Okay, so those are our code of ethics. So this is sort of, everything is based on those four concepts. So our mission, our vision, our purposes, and our code of ethics. And so moving forward from that group of basics, we move on to, where do our international priorities go? Now, I organize these sort of in groups under these headings. They could be organized other ways. This is basically how Grant Thornton did it at their seminar, and you will notice that attached to this there is a video of that seminar that I attended at the forum. Well, I wasn't the only one there. There was another 150 people there that attended at the forum, and you can sort of get the appreciation for what went on there, and they were just sort of feeling their way. It was the first sort of open forum on international priorities, so it was interesting. Anyway, here's sort of the headings that we're going to look at. We're going to try and look at these one at a time, and I'm going to try and finish this within the next half hour. There's a lot to cover. So, but if we can move on, we'll look at community service first. Okay, so community and culture. Basically, everything we do, I always thought this was funny, everything we do in Lions is community service. But there are two defined programs with supporting materials that we can use. And you'll notice that I put the years on these programs were initiated, and I've done that all the way down through, just so you can get a good idea. And it actually helps you to look these up if you're going to Google this to look these up later, or you're going to the LCI site. If you put in the title and the year, it helps you to look these up. So I've included them here as well. So community and culture, there's a whole whack of stuff under there. There's all kinds of materials. There's a banner patch for this. There's one award per district that the district governor can award every year for that club within their district that did a superb job of doing something within the community or within the culture of their community. And certainly the cultural activities of Lions are also, looking at that whole human person, at the same time trying to provide assistance in those duties, which all people are called on to give as members of the human family. So this could be anything with this one, helping to fix up libraries, to fix up schools, to look at getting new books for the libraries, although that could be confused with another program. There are ways to do that one too. So there is a banner patch for this. And again, the district governor can award a prize for this at the end of the year, an award. The Lions Crew at Work, again, looking at remodeling any kind of nonprofit community center, painting shelters for the homeless, repairing summer camps for disabled children, just about anything that you do out in the community. And the goal here in 2008, 2006 first and then 2008 to promote it a little bit more, was to get some materials that you could use to sort of promote Lions as you were doing this work. So there's actually vests that you can buy just for this, this for activity, and some stickers to put on materials that you're going to give out. And there's certificates for clubs or districts if the multiple district wants to do this. And there's a press release set up, and there's a guide that you can get as well. If you look at alert down here, this disaster preparedness and relief and the alert program, and this is to encourage clubs, districts, and multiple districts to develop a proactive response plan for natural, man-made, or healthcare emergencies. And we look to different communities that have already done some things here. We're looking at a community in Ohio a couple of years ago where they had a big flood, and the Lions Club in that community took over and just coordinated that so well, and got the relief going in there, even though members of that club had their houses destroyed in that flood as well. So for this, there is a whole whack of materials. Again, there's a guide, there's a banner patch, there's a logo, there's flyers, there's planning checklists, and of course, if you don't know about grants already, underneath this title you'll find there are applications for emergency grants for things like floods. And we've always heard that you can have the money in Lions' hands within 24 hours, and I was sort of skeptical about this until we had one in my district when I was governor, and applied for it in 24 hours. We had $10,000 American in our hands, which in Canadian money is about $25,000, and then away we went and ran with it. Under environmental services, 1972, we started looking at environmental services, and Lions looked at preserving the environment in 1972 as a formal policy, and then there's a bunch of things that follow it. First of all, the photo contest in 2004, and I know that people enjoy doing this one, and there's some criterion for the photo contest. There's all kinds of prizes that you can win at different levels. You can have a club contest, a district contest, multiple district contest. I know the multiple district chairs are tasked with sending off an entry into the international contest, and those of us who go to the convention every year, the international convention every year, get to vote on which are the best photos in the 5 different categories that there are. But we've, really been working on this for a long time, so we enjoy that. And of course, there's prizes here, there's entry forms, there's a calendar put out every year, and the calendar you can buy through the Lions store, which is kind of cool. I thought to do that one too. The green team came along a little bit later, and it's just looking at community cleanups, tree planting and recycling and environmental education projects. And if you remember Dr. Tam's project on planting trees, this would sort of fall under there. There's a whole kit for this. There's a guide, and there's certificates, and there's brochures to give out too, to explain what we're doing in a press release, if you wanted to do a press release along with this one. Okay, moving on. Looking at the things under health and wellness, of course, here we go right back to being Knights of the Blind in 1925. Certainly was a health initiative, and from that time there were a bunch of different programs on and off and on and off and on and off, and they've made them formal, and they have materials to go with them, starting with the hearing preservation and awareness. In 1971, it really was a solid program, and they're funny enough, before our programs for the blind have been reformulated since then, but we stuck pretty much with our hearing preservation and awareness starting in 1971. iBanks in 84, and this had to do with corneal transplants, and it's expanded somewhat since then because technology has expanded somewhat since then, but basically the idea is to grab corneas from people who have passed away before they deteriorate, and to then move them down to an eye bank, and then the eye bank can do implants and other wonderful things that they do with these things now to relieve blindness, or just to improve sight in some cases. Some of the technology here for corneal transplants went back to 1944, I know, but we didn't get involved till 1984. Someplace in Brooklyn, I think, started this one off. Brooklyn, New York, and Now there's 55 Lions eye banks around the world, which is just amazing to me. So, and there's all kinds of materials to help with supporting this one. There is all kinds of checklists, and there's lists of where the eye banks are, and there's even a program description if you want to start your own eye bank, and Lions will give you information to help you start that. I'm looking down at Diabetes Awareness in Action again, 1984, and boy, oh boy, as soon as we started working with the blind, it became obvious that a lot of people with diabetes, son of a gun, ended up being blind, and they needed some materials to help with that. And we have a whole bunch of programs. With that, we have DVDs that we've done with sort of in partnership with other organizations. And there's tons of informational brochures, guidelines and checklists, and there's even a guidebook for the diabetes chairperson in every district to work from. And there's lots and lots and lots of things we can do there. We've had diabetes testing clinics. People can check out to see whether they're diabetic or not with a simple urine test, and it's amazing what we've done with that one. We do a lot of work in our district with it. We have a very ambitious person. Maybe that's why I'm excited about that one more than some other ones. Again, yeah, there's a guidebook for the diabetes chairperson. Moving down to eyeglass recycling program, 1994. I know that we've done this all over the world, and I guess some districts were involved with this as early as the 1930s, and the Lions clubs sort of tried to pull that together in 94, and they've been involved with that for a long, long time now. So today there are 18 official Lions Eyeglass Recycling Centers. They're called LERCs, if you like that, LERCs, throughout the world. And board policy outlines the scope and objectives of this program, so you can look up in board policy. The eyeglasses are supplied to Lions or other humanitarian groups and are dispensed in a professional and orderly manner. We have missions. People go on missions to different countries and different places where people need these, and they get the glasses free of charge, which is pretty cool when you think about it. You know, those places that don't have the money to afford them. Now there's a kit for this if you want to get started with this, and there's a list of centers that you can get, some in other countries, not just North America, and there's collection boxes. You can actually order collection boxes, which you can put in an optometrist's office and get that, and there's certificates then for the district chairperson who does that kind of thing, and they can give them to clubs. They can have club certificates as well. It's one of those things that we can do fairly cheaply, especially if you get it in contact with opticians, because they have to get rid of the glasses when people get new ones anyway. Hearing aid recycling program started in 2002. I'm surprised this one didn't start earlier, but it started in 2002, and it's really for those people that can't afford hearing aids. And I know those of us who are getting a little bit older and know we need hearing aids are finding out how expensive those are. So that's something that could take a precedence in your club too, depending on, you know, the sort of the demographic of your area. Strides is relatively new, 2006, and those of us who go to the forum, last couple of years we've had a Strides walk at the forum to try and raise money for diabetes awareness and action. And, you know, I sort of thought that that would fall under that, but it's a separate program unto its own. And they have a kit, they have a banner patch. And this is one of those things where the club secretaries have to be involved here. If you do your activity report, the banner patch gets sent to you automatically from your activity report. So you don't have to apply for that to come to you. It'll just come to you if you did something like that. And, of course, there's certificates to go along with as well. The Eye Health Program in 2011 is basically pulling together all of this stuff that we were doing before. And the Eye Health Program has resources and tools to help you promote vision health in your community. There's 3 different kits here with lots of information pamphlets, and there's even a separate page for children's hints for children to use with that one. There's 3 PowerPoints, and there's speaker guides, so you can do presentations at your district level or at the club level if you want to take it to each club and do those presentations at that level too. So if you're into that kind of thing, away you go, you're all set to do that one. Okay, moving on. International relations, club twinning in 1973. Somebody at International thought it would be a great idea to twin our club with a club in another country. And I know some people have not necessarily followed the guidelines provided by Alliance International. They've gone into the website and tried to find a club in another part of the world that has the same city name as they have. My club being one of those, so that's how I know that happens. Anyway, so we've gone on to do that kind of stuff, and the twinning is a great chance to share cultural and what's happening in different countries and what you're doing in different programs. And those of us who have had the chance to visit other countries and Lions clubs and other places in the world know that when you get there, everybody in that club wants to know, what's your club doing? I know I've gone to a number of clubs and ended up being the guest speaker that night because I was just from another club. That was the only reason I was a guest speaker. Anyway, that's going to happen to you there. International missions, of course, we do a lot of these for a lot of different things, and these all have their purposes. And again, there are brochures and different kinds of kits you can use for this one to get you going. The Peace Poster Contest could have been here, could have been under Services for Children, but basically it's an international contest that's trying to pull together what kids anyway, think about peace. What are their views of peace, and how would they represent that visually in a poster? And if you know anything about peace posters, you know you're not allowed to use words on the poster. It has to all be visual. So they get to do that, and there's, of course, contests at every level, moving right up to the international contest, and then the winner of this contest gets the peace poster posted at the UN on Lions Day at the UN in February, and that stays there for a year. And the winners, when I was in Oak Brook, the winners from past years are in Oak Brook, in the offices in Oak Brook, and you can see them there, which is kind of cool too. And I'm always amazed at kids in that age group. The artwork they can do. It's fabulous, fabulous. The blind essay contest has only been in for a couple of years, and of course, people with vision difficulties would find it difficult to draw a poster. So this gives them a chance to do their thoughts on peace. They use the same theme every year as the peace poster, but their thoughts on peace is in an essay, and they can do that in Braille. And they don't have to do it in a poster. But I guess with OCR now, a lot of people could just talk it in and do it that way. The Lion to Lion resource database is just new in the last 2 years, and they're still refining how they work with that one. But this is an incredible sense of information. If you need any information for your district on how to implement a program, or somebody wants to do a project that you think is a little out there, you can go to the resource space and see if anybody else has done it and make contact with them and try to get some information on how they set it up and how they did it. And it saves you from trying to reinvent the wheel all the time. And I'm sure it's getting more use all the time now as people become more aware of it. And I know that was the year after I was governor, the year I was council chair, that this one came in. And I knew nothing about it until one of my governors brought it to my attention. And from then on, we were using it a lot. So you may want to take a look at that if you haven't already. Moving on. Here's our Lions Opportunity for Youth, Lions Clubs Leos programs, and we always talk about here's where we're going to get our future Lions from, and certainly in the district that I'm from, we have certainly seen that happen. Our Leos move on to become our Lions. I guess the best Leo Club experience I've seen was in the Cayman Islands, where they had 75 people in their Leos clubs, and they held them till they were 25, and then they could be a member of the Lions Club, which was amazing. And there's a video on LCI about the Leos clubs in the Cayman Islands and the service work that they were doing, which was kind of cool too, I thought. Moving along, International Youth Camp and Exchange started in 1961, and some people do this as a straight exchange, and some people do it as a youth camp and exchange together. I know in MDA we have a couple of districts up here that do this in the summertime. Don't have a lot of people want to come to Canada in the wintertime, so they come to Canada in the summertime, and they do that exchange then, and they spend part of that time at a camp. And they do the boating and fishing and all the things the kids would do at camp. at that time. So it's kind of a neat thing to see. You get another cultural exchange. So again, this could be over in culture and exchange too. The Young Leaders in Service Program 2006 is to take those kids that are a little bit younger, our Leos, and to then look at the youngest members in our Lions clubs and to say, okay, how can we give you some leadership skills, and how can we build this program out so that we can recognize you? They don't even have to be Lions to be recognized within this one, which is kind of nice to see. And again, there's materials and brochures and press releases for this one too. Lions Services for Children, Scouts and Lions. Well, Lions been working with Scouts, and in Canada we have Girl Guides. Been working with them from a long, long time ago. In fact, it was hard to find an early date for this one, but it looks like right away. Pretty much right away we were involved with this unit, and I couldn't get a fix on a natural date. So we're just putting in early 1900s for this one, and again, there's material for this one too, and certificates and all those kinds of things to go with it. The Lions Unifest School in a Box, which is we buy a school of box of materials, and it gets sent over to those countries by UNICEF. It's a UNICEF program that we're partnered with, and they take it to schools in different countries and give it to the schools, and then the kids get to work out of that, especially when they don't have very many materials of their own in those countries. Children First is just exactly what it says. It's looking at those things, all of those, trying to coordinate all the programs we do with children. In 2003, it became a mandate for us, and again, there's all kinds of materials on this one if you just look that one up. And you can do a lot of work with kids, and most of the Lions clubs that I know and that I've worked with lately have been looking at servicing children, because eventually the children are going to grow up and they could be Lions, and we certainly want them to be good citizens, and good citizens would be involved in working in their communities, and that's basically what the focus of that program is to do. The symposium is kind of cool too, and it's I got a bunch of materials for getting those kids together so they can talk to each other, which is a little bit different and unique, and there's materials for that and how to organize that. The Reading Action Program, this was Linda Madden's program. International President wife Linda Madden helped to bring this one in, and we're finding that literacy rates were kind of low in different parts of even North America. So we get a lot of people working on this one. We get a lot of publicity out of this one. I don't know that we can count, if we're getting any new members out of this one, but I know we're getting a lot of publicity, and it's one of those things where, for us, it's not that difficult to do, and we've worked out a program with Scholastic Books in order to get some books that are fairly cheap, not what you would pay for them in the store. So you can buy the books at a cut rate. In Canada, we have a selection of books we can get for 50% off their retail price, which is kind of nice. Okay, moving on. Opportunities for youth. Here's our Young Leaders in Service. Looking at that one again. If you go back to that one early, we certainly had that one as we went through this one. It's just one of those things that I really get involved in, and our club does too, so I'm excited about it. But there's all of those things that we can do with our youth. Moving along to our global action campaigns. This came in under International President Scuggs. And he was looking at, what he called the 4 pillars of service, and I don't think he called them exactly this. This is what they're called under this year's program, underneath our Centennial Service Projects program. Our sort of our challenge to get 100 million people served before 2017. Engaging our youth is all the things that we do with youth. And, some of the programs that we have on there, but it can be as simple as, sponsoring a sports team. Doesn't have to be so involved as some of the other ones. Sharing the vision, anything we do with vision, and I know a lot of Lions clubs now are moving into what they call low vision clinics, and they're setting up low vision clinics for people to come in, have their eyes tested, and do those kinds of things, looking at materials that they can use. Relieving the hunger, we always used to think of third world nations as having a need for food to be supplied to them, but we certainly, in our larger cities and some of our smaller towns now, we certainly have food banks all over North America as well. So this is its percentages between 3 and 5% of the population of most big cities and towns are living below that poverty line, and people are suffering from hunger, which is crazy. In our world, we have so much that some people are still hungry. Protecting our environment, we looked at that from 1972. We've been working on that, right? So these are sort of set off in quarters of the year, too. So if you look at your activities report, secretaries look at their activities report. This is a section for them to report on. And this year and last year, this is part of the Club Excellence process. And I don't know that it will continue to be, but I assume so. You want to have one service for each of these 4 areas as we go through this one. So our global action campaigns are really working towards the Centennial Service Challenge this year for us. In the past, they were called other things, but that's where we're going. Lions Clubs International Foundation has these programs going on, and while this isn't LCI, this is certainly our foundation, and this is our way of actually implementing things. Lions Quest we got involved in 1985, but by then, though, the program was owned by Quest International, and over the years we've actually bought the program. The Lions Foundation has bought the program, and it's run by Lions now and not by Quest International. Still called Lions Quest, though, so that's how we're working with that one, and that's 3 sets of programs for kids from kindergarten right up to grade 12 through school, and to work with their teachers and to look at do some training with their teachers and implementing this program in order for them to be better citizens and be better equipped in the world. And so we give them good academic education, but they need an education in life skills as well. And the big component of this thing is, funny enough, is called service learning. And service learning is those things that we do. They're service projects. Kids go, they do something for the community without being paid for, and they get a chance to talk about it afterwards and what they learned out of that. They're always amazed that they learned so much by giving something else to somebody else. It's an amazing sight to do. Okay, our Sight First programs, wow, we've raised $415 million US in both of the Sight First initiatives, and we're doing all kinds of things with those all over the world, in North America as well, in terms of improving sight. And some of those have to do with the eyeglasses, and some of them have to do with the corneal transplants. There's an awful lot of stuff that's going on there, river blindness, and just an awful lot of stuff. And I see I'm running out of time, so I got to hurry up. Special Olympics, when we set those up, a lot of clubs now, and we have Lions clubs dedicated just to Special Olympics, and we have an opening eyes clinics that we run at Special Olympics events. Funny enough, maybe not so funny, but oddly enough, a number of the kids working with the Special Olympics program have eye difficulties, and some of them haven't been diagnosed because they have so many other difficulties. It's hard to get to that one, and so we have that one there. The Affordable Hearing Aid Project has to do with the recycling, and now they're looking at working with companies. Now we've formed a lot of partnerships with different companies all over the world for different things, and this is one of them. The Affordable Hearing Aid Project now is a way to get cheap hearing aids to kids, and whether the Lions, pay for them or pay part of it, or whether the parents pay for the hearing aids, we can get them. They're a little bit cheaper than they would be on the retail market. Still others that we do, and LCI is formatting these things formally, as we have all of our mentoring programs and our Guiding Lion programs. You want to look at that as a mentoring program, it sort of is. And then our international contests and public relations for your website and your newsletter. And there's a prize for this every year. And so you can, at the district level, you can send your entry in and see how that goes. For yourself, and see if you have a great newsletter in your multiple district, and see if you have a great website. I don't think they've included yet anything on social media. I know the Smiles people are looking at getting an award set up for that, and they've certainly got a chunk going on right now, and they may become a priority at some point too. Lions Day at the UN is a wonderful day. If you can get a chance to go down there and do that, and they have an open session where you can question different people involved with Lions and how we relate as a non-government organization or NGO with the UN, and certainly our history with Fright from Melvin Jones. Starting that off is something that's a big thing for Lions all over the world, and I know the one that I was at had people from all over the world, Lions from all over the world there at that session, and that was kind of a mini international convention for the short time we were in that seminar. And there's some ceremony that goes with that too, which is kind of nice. Yeah, and you may have noticed in all of this that I've left off GLT and GMT, and certainly these are large priorities, but boy, they demand their own sessions, and there's so much to them. And we don't have time this evening to get into these, and I've just barely touched on an awful lot of these programs that are here. And finally, I'm sure that in your districts you have your own programs and services that you're implementing, and it's very difficult for any individual line to keep track of them all. So how do we keep up to date? Well, here are some suggestions that I would recommend. The Lions magazine, whether you get a print magazine or you look at it that's online, and the one online is huge. It has all kinds of videos attached to it that you can log into, and websites that you can go to right out of the magazine. And if you're looking at the print, of course, you can't do that, but the print magazine has some up-to-date stuff on it, especially if you look at the executive summaries. And the Lions Quarterly, if you can order the DVD, or you can just watch the DVD on the LCI site. The websites, of course, lionsclubs.org and lcif.org. These are just full of information. And they've been working on these for the last 4 or 5 years to really make them more friendly to use. They weren't very friendly 4 or 5 years ago, and they're getting better. They're getting better. There's just, we have so much information that you could spend days and weeks on there. And when I'm training our new incoming district governors, I'm always talking to them about, try to keep yourself up to date and try to keep yourself tuned in to this website, because that's the way that you'll keep yourself up to date. The new district governor's guide, those people have become district governors. So if you look at that guide, I think it's now 4,000 pages long. It's huge, just huge, and it has all of these programs in it as well. So for district governors, if you're looking for a little hint on these programs, there'll be a little bit in there about each of them, or at least where to find them. And your local conventions. At the district convention, somebody may get a hot idea in one of these areas and want to put an emphasis on that. A governor may make that their project for the year. And so one of these areas may become more important than the other for a year, and they'll jump right in there to do that with that. At the multiple district, you'll get the same. The district chair, MDA chair, in my case, last year was really hot on Special Olympics and got that going for our district, and some of the district governors picked up on that. Of course, at the International Convention, you have all those sessions that are there, and you have all the displays in the display area where you can go and you can look at all of the different things that Lions is involved in. And of course, the biggie for us, I guess, at Lions University is the Canada-USA Leadership Forum, where new programs are introduced. And as I mentioned in the introduction, there is a video of the session that I attended about international priorities and the systematic envisioning that the Grant Thornton Company is doing. And you may want to look at those and or watch through that or part of that, just to get a flavor and an idea of what they're doing. What I would get you to do is, though, have that heads up that if you have an email address, and I suppose if you're online here you do, if you have an email address, you're going to get a survey sent to you shortly by sometime by the end of the month, or maybe early into the first week of February, and you get a chance to be a part of this envisioning process, and maybe developing or looking at implementing some new programs along the way. So I haven't seen any questions pop up on my screen, Bud, so I don't know if you have any questions on your screen. If there are any questions I can help you with at this point, please feel free to get them in now, and we'll tidy up at the end.
Yeah, I don't have any here, Tom, but this, while we review the review of the objectives on the next slide, if anyone does have a question that they'd like to ask, they can type it in the question pane or raise your hand, and we'll call on you, and you can verbally ask the question, because there was a lot of information being shared here.
Yeah. Yeah, you should see my script. Wow. Okay, so to go back over and review, uh, I just wanted to emphasize that the basis of all our programs really depend on our mission and our vision. And then right from the very, very beginning of Lions, we had a set of purposes and a code of ethics. And those things are the basis of everything that we do. And you should have a good idea of what those are. I'm not saying you have to memorize those things. It's difficult to memorize that word for word. But you should have a good idea of what all that means. To look at the international priorities, especially if you're working at the district level. Somebody in your district may want to do something that you don't think fits into one of those priorities. You might have to search to find one. I know in the session that we attended at the forum, somebody asked that question. They said, what could you possibly do that didn't fit into one of our priorities? And I couldn't think of any, and a couple of other people couldn't think of any either. We couldn't really think of something that didn't fit into one of our priorities, so we're pretty much open on projects that we can do. And you have to remember that, all of our clubs are autonomous. We do what we need to do in our community to make our community better, and that has to sort of match sort of the abilities that we have in our group, so what skill sets does our Lions Club have? Because we can't go build airplanes, like my group couldn't do that. We don't have those skills, but maybe another group could, who knows. To explore the programs and services, so we tried to look at the main ones attached to the international priorities, and there are many others, I know, and I'm sure you have some in your own districts that you spend time on too. So keep those in mind as you're doing this, especially at the district level, that some Lions clubs get themselves into trouble. They sort of overwork themselves trying to do everything, and you can't. There's too much to do. And then looking at ways and means of keeping up to date. We tried to keep those in there. You may have other ones that I couldn't think of at this time, but I have my 5 main ones, and they seem to work pretty well for me. I seem to be pretty much up to date most of the time. I don't get caught off guard too many times anyway with programs. So if you want to keep those in mind, then you should keep yourself up to date and ready to go. So, Bud, I still don't have any questions on my screen. Do you have any?
No, I don't have any either, Tom. So we'll move on. But I do want to thank you for everything that you've shared this evening. Obviously, there was a tremendous amount of research done on this topic, and I, being a presenter of many other topics, I really appreciate everything that you've done that you put into this presentation, because there was a lot of stuff here, and it's good that you included some of the handouts that we've got attached to the course page on the Lions University website. So that will help remind everyone of the programs and services, and help them maybe look up some more information online and use those headings. So again, I appreciate you and everything you've done for this particular webinar. There was a lot of work. I'm glad I didn't have this topic to cover.
Well, I was sort of wondering about it after I took it, Bud, because there's a lot there. I kept looking at the clock up here, and I had sort of timelines for myself, and I didn't keep to them very well, but I managed to get in most of the high points. So, but there's just a lot of stuff there.
There wasn't. I appreciate it. I think you did a great job. So we'll continue on for a couple of minutes, and if anyone does have a question coming up, we'll certainly take care of that. But I wanted to remind everyone that just as last year, we had a graduation ceremony in Grand Rapids for those individuals that qualified for the bachelor's program and the master's. We had some qualifying for the master's completion too as well. I think we had something like 240 or 250 individuals that graduated from the bachelor's program, and about 65 from the master's. And so for the first year, it was very, very rewarding to see such a large amount of participation all throughout North America. And this year we're rolling out the doctorate program. So someone could actually qualify to graduate from the doctorate program this year. And again, we'll have a graduation ceremony at the USA Canada Forum in Omaha, Nebraska this September. It'll be held on the 15th through the 17th, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And the exact details of the graduation will be forthcoming. So once we get that information, we will share it with you on our website and on the USA Canada Forum Lions website too as well. So that's something to look forward to. And those are some beautiful pins that everyone gets upon graduation, along with a handshake and a photograph with the international president. So we look forward to seeing everyone in Omaha. Our next webinar will be entitled Decision Making, and that will be in a month, Tuesday, February 9th. And again, that's at 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And you can register for that particular course by going on the calendar page. That's that link is shown at the bottom of the screen. So I'd like to remind everyone for that. And there will be some other courses. Continue to check the calendar page on the Lions University website for upcoming scheduled courses. And as a reminder, at the end of this, if you'd like to go on the Lions University website, and you can go on to the course page, which is shown at the bottom of your screen, and click on that course page, open it up, and go down to the bottom as we described at the beginning, and at the bottom of that course page where it says course completed, and then you'll have an opportunity to take the quiz. And so we hope everyone has an opportunity to do that as soon as they can. So with that, I see no questions that have come up, Tom. So we'll thank you again for everything you've done, and appreciate everyone taking the time out of their busy schedules to sit in with us this evening. And for those that will be picking up the recording at some point in time in the future, that should be online sometime tomorrow. So with that, I thank you very much. And Tom, if you want to hold on for just a little bit after we sign off, we'll chat just a second, okay?
Okay.
All right. Just a reminder, when you do log off, make sure you go up to the top of your control panel up there. There's a little X. Just click on that X button and log out, so that we can make sure that we close the webinar out with no one lagging on. So with that, thank you very much, and we'll talk to you again soon.